All right, so today we're going deep, like really deep, into this idea of the self, who we are and how we can actually be happy.
Hmm.
And for this, we're turning to the writings of this amazing scholar, Al-Ghazali.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
We've got some of his key works right here from the American University in Cairo Library.
Oh, wow.
Kimya al-Sada, which translates to The Alchemy of Happiness.
Nice.
And then we've got the Al-Risala al-Laduniya. That's the Laduni epistle.
Okay.
So basically what we're going to try to do is like break down his main ideas about how we can understand ourselves better and find some, real inner peace.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking for that these days.
Yeah, totally. So let's jump right in. One of the first things that struck me when I was reading Al-Ghazali was this idea of like a chemistry of happiness.
Yeah, he talks about that.
But he's not talking about like, finding it in like possessions or anything like that.
Right.
He says it's actually all about something inside of us.
Yeah, he uses this really cool image. He compares the heart of a person who has knowledge. He compares it to, like, precious jewels.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah, and he's not just talking about knowledge you get from, like, books and stuff.
Okay, so like what else?
He's pointing to a more direct way of knowing, almost like a kind of inspiration or intuition.
Interesting. Okay, so big question then.
Yeah.
What is this self that Al-Ghazali is talking about? Like, how do we even understand who we really are? And how does that all connect to being happy?
Yeah, well, for Al-Ghazali, the self is definitely not just, like, your physical body.
Right. It's got to be more than that.
He talks about this inner essence, this heart, which you can only really know through inner vision.
So not the actual heart.
No, it's something deeper than that.
Okay.
And he says that this inner self, it's like a battleground,
A battleground.
Yeah, you've got all these different forces inside,
Oh, I see. Like what?
like, your animalistic drives, the stuff
Yeah.
that makes you want to eat and sleep, but also like the things that make you angry.
Yeah.
Then you've got like the devilish temptations pulling you in one direction.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Right. And then you've also got like these angelic aspirations, the things that make you want to be a better person.
Okay, I'm starting to see the battleground now.
So understanding who you are really means recognizing all these different forces and how they're playing out inside you.
And how do we manage all that?
Well, Al-Ghazali, he actually gives us this like internal hierarchy.
Like a map.
Kinda, yeah. So he says, think of your heart as the king.
The king. Okay.
Your intellect is like the king's minister, the advisor.
Gotcha.
Your desires and anger, those are like the king's army, the forces he can use.
Mhm.
And your senses, they're like the spies, bringing information back to the king.
I like this. This is good.
Yeah, so for there to be peace in the kingdom, the intellect has got to be in charge, guiding the desires and anger towards the right things.
Okay, so what are the right things?
Well, Al-Ghazali would say the right thing is seeking divine knowledge, which he believes leads to true happiness.
Okay, but what does that even mean? Like, how do we get this divine knowledge?
He actually outlines two main ways.
All right, lay it on me.
First, there's what he calls human learning.
So like school and...
Exactly, the knowledge we gain through study and observation.
Makes sense.
But then there's this second kind of learning, which he says is way deeper, divine learning.
Ooh, divine learning. Now we're talking.
And this comes in two forms.
Okay, two forms of divine learning.
First is revelation, which is something prophets experience, direct communication from God.
Right.
And then there's inspiration, what he calls ilm, which is also sometimes referred to as laduni knowledge.
Okay, ilm and laduni knowledge. Got it.
And this ilm, it's like a sudden flash of insight, a knowing that just feels completely true deep down.
Like an aha moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we get that?
Well, Al-Ghazali says this kind of knowledge, this inspired knowledge, it's actually more profound than anything you could learn from a book.
Right.
Yeah. And he says the key to accessing it is purifying yourself from selfish desires and focusing on the divine.
Okay, so it's not just about studying. It's about, like, inner work, too.
Exactly. It's about cleaning your inner mirror so it can reflect this divine knowledge.
Cleaning your inner mirror. I like that.
Yeah, he actually uses this metaphor of the heart being like a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And when that mirror is all clouded with worldly attachments, you can't really see the truth.
Makes sense.
But when you detach from those things, like when you're sleeping or in deep contemplation, that's when you can start to see clearly.
Wow. Okay, so what's the end goal here? Like, what's the point of all this inner cleaning and seeking knowledge?
Well, the ultimate goal, according to Al-Ghazali, is to recognize the divine spark within yourself.
The divine spark.
And then to cultivate your angelic qualities.
Like our better angels.
Exactly. And that means working on controlling those animalistic and devilish impulses, the ones that can lead you astray.
So basically using knowledge and self-awareness to become better people.
Yeah, and Al-Ghazali believes that this is the path to true, lasting happiness.
A happiness that's not dependent on the things of this world.
Right, because those things are temporary.
They come and go.
This kind of happiness, it comes from within.
So I guess the big takeaway here is that Al-Ghazali is showing us that real happiness, like deep down happiness, isn't found out there in the world, but through this inner journey.
Yeah, it's a journey of seeking divine knowledge, purifying your heart.
Getting all those inner forces aligned with a higher purpose.
Right.
And I think that's a really powerful message.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? It makes me wonder if our true self really is this reflection of the cosmos.
Uh-huh.
And if it really is capable of receiving this direct divine inspiration,
Yeah.
what parts of our everyday lives, the stuff we might think is totally ordinary,
Right.
what if those things actually hold this incredible potential for, like, insight and joy?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it makes you think, how can we start polishing that inner mirror?
And what amazing things might we see reflected back at us?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.